Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, lax rats alike, welcome back to another episode of the Crease Dive. Today is Friday, June 2nd, Memorial Day weekend. It's come and gone. Lacrosse season's over. We have to wait until January before we watch some meaningful lacrosse again. Oh, wait, no, psych. We are getting geared up here for an entire summer full of the best that lacrosse has to offer. PLL opening weekend is here in Albany. I'm Jordy from Barstool. With me, as always, we've got Doogs on the mic coming at you live from a hotel in Albany. Been checking out, scoping out training camp over the last 48 hours or so, gearing up for a big weekend at the Bar Down Beer Garden. Doogs, how we feeling?
Feeling great. A little warm up last night at the bar watching the NBA Finals for the Beer Garden. It's kind of like saw Ryder Garnsey, right? Fresh off a national championship. He had to get the legs going a little bit yesterday. He's got to warm it up for the game on Saturday against the Atlas, Redwoods Atlas on ABC, 1 p.m. Check it out. But just like last night, I had to get a couple Bud Lights going. Don't judge me. Nobody cancel me. Had a couple Bud Lights going. And then just got to get ready for the Beer Garden. They have training camp. I need a training camp. But so far, so good. I mean, I swear to God, Jordy, Albany, like you think it's upstate New York, it's not going to be hot. Every time I come to this motherfucking place, it is the hottest place in the world. Sweating my ass off. But hopefully there's a little bit of an overcast tomorrow. Rain gets out of the way, and we have a great weekend of games going on.
Yeah. So anyone who's been following along, obviously, with yourself, Billy's up there, Jake. So we've seen some content for sure coming out of the boys, but obviously the most notable thing, you're rolling around there on the scooter, seem to be getting around pretty well. But you did mention it's hot.
Right.
So how's that adjustment been with the scooter up there? I mean, it's something new to you, something foreign. Seems like you're making do though, and that's really all you got to be playing. You got to be scooting your best ball in June, and it appears that you're doing so far.
Look, I have like 4-wheel drive on a 3-wheel scooter. This place can take me anywhere I want. I will say that like if I had to describe it, imagine being next to RJ for like an entire day and how much that guy moves around. Now, mine is 2 legs plus a scooter. So this scooter got some mileage yesterday. It had some terrain, going over grass, turf, tested it all out, all good to go. But yeah, I mean, training camp, everyone looked ready to go. Some tired legs. So like which coach works them out the hardest, which one works them out the least. So that's going to be an interesting perspective going into these games. I think over the past couple of years, when we see it coming out of this training camp, some teams look way more gas than others. So like, have coaches adjusted? Did they not? I mean, that's all to be said. But I mean, man, I love this shit, to be honest. I really do. I think that adding new faces to these teams, and then, like, even a team like Chaos, if you're like, well, they don't have anyone, remember last year, week 1, they had nobody. They were the replacements, we said. And they gave the whipstakes, the defending champs, or no, not the defending champs, rematch of the championship, but gave them a scare. So, like, even the guys like the replacements or whatever you want to call them, like, solid players. You got guys fighting for roster spots. I love being up in Albany. I think it's the greatest place that you can open up the weekend. But also, really quick, I want to plug this. If you're in the Albany area, if you're within a 2-hour drive and you're not going to the Bar Down Lounge to watch these games, it makes the experience 10 times better. Look, you're 21 up. You want to be on the field. 2 games, 2 tall boys, $25. In Philadelphia, New York City, $25 gets you 1 drink and maybe a sip. So 2 tall boys, field level access, not being up in the high bleachers. I checked out the Bar Down Lounge. Lots of shade. It's going to be rare to come by tomorrow. Lots of shade. 2 games, 2 tall boys, $25. Me and Billy will be there. Come hang out with us. It's going to be a great weekend for lacrosse. A lot of people are saying that this is the best deal of the weekend. Yes, it is. Second, people are saying, Doogs, is this legal robbery? Yes, you're literally stealing money from the Rabels. So no matter how you feel about the Rabels, like you want to steal money from them, you want to drink some beers, you can steal money. It's legal robbery. Do it. They are begging you to steal money from them. So come on down.
Like, I don't think you could even like put a price on the conveniency of having the bar on the field level,
on the
because
field.
because like at no point do you have to worry. Like, all right, so let's say you're gassing beers and
Right.
you're going a little bit quicker than you thought you were going to be, right? Maybe it's a little warm out. They're going down a little bit quicker. You were kind of thinking, all right, I've got this tall boy right now. This should get me through this next quarter. Uh-oh, you drank it a little too quick. Now halfway through the quarter, you're out. You don't have to like wait for that weird time. Like, all right, like when can I get up and go to the concession stand and
Right.
grab myself another beer without missing any action? It's right there for you. You can get up and go whenever you want. Like the conveniency enough. I would put, you can't put a price on it, but like I would say that the $25 is well worth the conveniency enough. But now you're getting field level access and a couple tall boys to go along with it. Yeah, I mean it's like you said, legal robbery for sure.
$25 just to get into the game, you'd be like, okay, that's a good price. $25 to sit on the field, you'd be like, yeah, that's an excellent price. $25 to sit on the field and get two tall boys out of it, you'd say, shut up, give me just let me pay you. So
yeah, I'm not a business guy, but it does seem to be. Listen, I pray that it's sustainable. I really do, because it's an awesome deal. It seems like something that shouldn't be. So take advantage of it while you can.
I will we're going to talk about this with our kids. I think it was like the great in like 1972, the Cincinnati, Cleveland. Yeah, the Cleveland Indians at the time. Don't cancel me. Cleveland Indians at the time. They had like a $2 beer night and there was riots all over the place. I'm not inciting riots. I'm not saying that, but all I'm saying is there will be a time where we tell our kids, oh yeah, that $25 for two tall boys, and it got wild in the PLL beer garden. So come down, have some fun. I can't praise it enough. I mean, it's going to change the way that 21-year-olds like and up want to come view these games. Look, RJ, he's got the little kids in the Premier Zone. He's got them by the hip. They're attached to him. Leave the kids in the Premier Zone. Come on down and drink. I know in Philly, me and Jordy are going to get after it. Two tall boys, fine, but I know and a little old hockey trick. Go in the parking lot. Beer in upstate New York is not expensive. Go get yourself some 12-pack or two. Drink gas little beers in the parking lot. Come on down with the buzz. Two tall boys should be able to do the trick. So, yeah, I mean, that's just an old hockey trick from your boy Doogs.
Yeah, I mean, if you want the first lock of the season, it's that it's going to be a brutal weekend to be a domestic light beer. Now, as speaking of locks for the weekend, at least, week one is always it's so hard to predict. I mean,
Right.
you've got so many different things going on. So one, you have the 1 week training camp. So it depends on, what teams are able to actually get their legs, what teams are, they still don't quite have those under them. Depends on, I mean, dude, we've got kids who literally just had their college season wrap up 6 days ago. So, to see the turnaround from, finishing up that, a guy, I mean, Evan's in on a 25-man roster right now. Who else? Cross Ferrara just finishing up an unbelievable career at Salisbury, winning a D3 national championship. He's on the game day roster for the Chrome. But bunch of other guys, whether they just finished up this past weekend or maybe 2 weekends ago, they're still going to be a little gassed from the college season. Guys who, we're going to be missing guys in the NLL Finals. So game 3 of Bandits and Colorado Mammoth, that is Saturday night. I believe I want to say it's at 7:30. So you can make sure to tune into that one, 7:30. I wonder how many people I'm just so bad at geography to know where, how far it is from Albany to Buffalo. In my mind, it's like 45 minutes. It could end up being like, it's only 15 minutes.
From my calculations, it's only 15 minutes. Yeah, it's only.
In my mind, they're like right next to each other. They could end up being like 3 hours apart. Like
they're only 15 minutes by plane.
Okay. Yeah. So so as long as you've got the PJ gassed up, you'll
it should be a 30-minute flight, 15-minute flight by plane, 30-minute helicopter ride through the mountains, and if you're going to drive, it's about a 4-hour drive.
Okay. So yeah, maybe not too many people able to make that double dip. Although I mean, you could do you could go from Buffalo for game 3 of the NLL Finals and then make it to Albany for the second day for the Sunday games. So I wonder, it's big weekend in upstate and Western New York. I also know that they're all like, oh, Buffalo's not upstate, we're Western New York. And then
Buffalo, we're Canada.
Yeah. So either way, big weekend up there. But yeah, you've got game 3 of the NLL Finals going on 7:30. So we're going to be missing a lot of the guys on the Chaos as they're finishing up their season with the Bandits. Going to be missing Dylan Ward and Cage for the Water Dogs. Going to be missing Zed Williams. And then just a bunch of other like Canadian rookies who haven't been able to get their visas. So week 1, always a bit of a clusterfuck. You never really know what to expect. We're not seeing teams, their full roster right off the bat. So, it is a little tricky to figure these out as far as, trying to be financially invested in these games. But I think as far as an entertainment product goes, like this is, the PLL in general, everything's super tight. And Doogs, you and I were talking before we started recording where like this might be the tightest that the league is, in the 5 years so far. But as far as just an absolute toss up, like who the fuck knows, just roll the ball out. And I guess we'll find out. Like week 1 is that in the PLL where, you could have a team that you're like, yep, they're about to win this game by 6. And then they lose by you just have no idea what's going to go on in week 1. So as far as picks and previews, we're going to give them to you because we're professionals.
And they're going to be wrong.
And
well, Jordy, remember, I always said this before you get this started. There is always one team every single year, right, that starts at the bottom. Last year was Chrome. 2 years ago was Atlas, where we're like, they're not going to be good this year, and they end up at the top of the standings. Happens it was Chaos year 1. Everyone thought Chaos was going to be the worst team. They ended up finishing the regular season number 1. So when I say that, like, I have no confidence in saying one team's going to be worse than the other.
So in theory, though, we're going to be right about being wrong, though, and I think
correct.
So that ultimately makes us right. So everything will be right, but we might be wrong in the process of being right.
Yes, and we'll give some bold. We'll give some. You know what? Should we just fuck around with those? Throw around some hot takes.
Yeah, Brian Tevlin, Rookie of the Year.
Okay, Sam Hanley, Rookie of the Year. That's not a hot take. That's just correct answer.
I think that Sam Hanley, I do think Sam Hanley is going to be a better pro than he was a college player, which is crazy to say because he was a great college player. Right. But I do think that he has more, obviously, to work with at the pro level. But I don't know, man. I think as the years keep going by, like the two-way midi was already such like a key piece to any PLL roster with, the shortened field, the shortened shot clock, and now the game's getting it's getting even tighter. Shot clocks are dropping down even more. Like, I think that two-way midi is just going to be just premium gas for a PLL roster. And between, Brian Tevlin and then obviously, Quinn McCann ends up getting released by the Atlas during training camp. He'll probably end up catching on somewhere else. But like those two guys, we saw what they could do for Notre Dame. They're going to do the same thing for a PLL team. You get those two-way guys, and that's the recipe right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the two-way midi, I agree with you, is the most important piece in the PLL, someone that can just stay on the field, especially I think the shortened shot clock straight off the face might even amplify that. Do I think that – but here's my argument. I love Brian Tevlin, so I don't want to say anything bad because I honestly hope he does win Rookie of the Year.
Sounds like you're rooting against him.
Zach Currier, 2 years ago, when I said he should be MVP, there was a lot of debate about it because he was a two-way midi. So I'm just thinking from a points production standpoint, who is most likely to win?
Yeah, but Courier's a Canadian, though. And do you really want to be taking the MVP away from hardworking Americans, Dukes, in this economy?
Go Dogs.
All right. Well,
roll Dogs. That's my only response.
I'll tell you what. While we're talking about rookies of the year, Let's talk about a couple guys who, before we get into our week 1 picks and previews, let's talk about some guys who will end up being rookies next year. Just finished up a great college season and just had a nice little Tewaaraton ceremony last night. So finalists, right? Schellenberger, Brennan O'Neill, Pat Cav, CJ Kirst, Tucker Dordevic, who we'll end up seeing Tucker in action this weekend with the Whip Snakes. So Tewaaraton ceremony last night. Brennan O'Neill is your 2023 Tewaaraton winner for the men's game. Izzy Skane winning it in the women's game. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. I think when it came down to the men's award, I think you could have realistically chosen, I'll go ahead and say 4 of them, and I don't think you would get too much of an argument. You could have absolutely chosen from 3 of them and get no argument at all. But when Brennan O'Neill was announced as the winner, we did see plenty of argument online, but that's just the way that the internet works. Nothing can happen without people having to debate it. But Doogs, your thoughts on Brennan O'Neill as the 2023 Tewaaraton Award winner?
Look, you're not going to get any argument from me. I think I said after first 2 games, he'd probably be my pick. Do I think by the end of the year that Patty Cav deserved to win it? Yeah, 100%. Weren't that close in point productions? What are you going to say, that Brennan had a better championship game? I don't think so. Even Patty was playing with no hamstrings. It's not like Brennan lit it up. And if we're also just going off of postseason play, Connor Schellenberger should have won it. So here's my thing to Pat. Like, I don't know if he cares. I don't know if he doesn't care. But you don't need an award to know the type of production that you make and how important you are to the game and how important you are to your team. If you ask Brendan O'Neill, what would you rather have had, a national championship or a Tewaaraton? I think everybody says they'd rather have the national championship. So you don't need an award to have your mark on the game, or like for you to know how good of a player you are. Rings speak louder than trophies.
I will say, so totally agree with all of that. Definitely agree. I mean, you have you put the ring on your finger, and that just takes away any sting of not winning the Tewaaraton away. And then obviously, Schellenberger already has a national championship to his name. So it's not like he's like looking for that Tewaaraton to kind of find some sort of legacy for himself. So good for Brennan on winning it. What I will say,
somebody had to.
Yeah, somebody had to win it. What I will say on the Pat Cav aspect of it, I would like to know, what was it already decided who won, like before everyone made the trip down for the ceremony? Because as we heard, the Notre Dame lacrosse team, they all took a trip to Germany. I believe that they left on Wednesday. So a trip that they do every 4 years, international trip. This year was to Germany. So whole Notre Dame team over there. Pat Cav, obviously with the hamstring, like it just seemed a little fucked up to make him go down to the ceremony, stand on stage with the torn hamstring or whatever that hamstring injury is, while the rest of his team's getting after it in Germany. Like, it could have been like, hey, listen, unfortunately, you're not going to win the award. If you want to just take off to Germany instead of standing here on stage and wasting your time and having to congratulate Brendan on winning it, go ahead and take the fight with the boys. Like, that's my only thing. It would have been nice to be like, hey, it's not your time this year. Why don't you go have fun with the boys?
I agree. I was talking about this with a couple of people at camp, like a couple of players. This was one of the few years where I truly did not know who was going to win.
Yeah.
I usually go into it like, oh yeah, like there's one above the other. You kind of go into the playoffs and you're like, there's tight race. And by the end of it, it's always the guy that wins. That was the closest race I can remember in a lifetime. I wouldn't have been upset if 3 of those guys won.
Yeah, I don't want to. I feel like I'm almost dipping my toes into socialism here. It's not that I want to spread the wealth, but the way that I went into it, I was like, all right, so Brendan O'Neill was already named the most outstanding player of the year when the All-American list came out. Pat Cav won the national championship. Like, it just seemed to me like, all right, so Brennan has his thing, Pat has his thing. I guess like Shelly ends up getting the Tewaaraton.
Yes. You just described NCAA lacrosse socialism. Congratulations.
Yeah, so I don't want to say that Tewaaraton's like a participation trophy, but it just seemed like all right, like all three of these guys are so
Yeah.
tight. They all had something like maybe this is setting up for Schellenberger Tewaaraton. Didn't end up that way, but so like in my mind, like I was already convinced that Schellenberger was Tewaaraton, so I was like a little like oh like Brendan won, and then maybe like 4.5 seconds later, I was like yeah that makes a lot of sense. He was fucking absolutely nasty this year.
And it's also pretty funny, like when just in general talking about Shelley is like how people went into the tournament like, oh, he's been injured all year. And I'm like, oh, this just sounds like fucking like a load of crap. Just like, oh yeah, like he was a little banged up, and they're like, he's finally healthy. I was like, sure, whatever. Mr. May, it's unbelievable what he does in May. When you got to play your best ball in May, it's like Doogs, like Michael Scott, like Connor Schellenberger. Like you got to play your best ball in May, and the guy always steps up. Because when I watch him every single game, even in the loss, we're like, it's crazy. The what if you're up 2 with 2 minutes to go and UVA loses that game, it's crazy. Like is UVA national champions? It's just the what ifs are crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a great weekend. Nice little ceremony to cap it off there. I'm sure that all the Brennan O'Neill doubters, he's a bust. I'm sure that they're just rolling right now. Go ahead.
Yes, that just whatever. I don't know who will have this available, but I think going off the bus talk, Joey Spallina to win Tewaaraton next year.
Really? I think that there's still that group of guys.
Maybe one more year away.
I think he needs that group to graduate, and then he can take over, and then it'll be Joey Spallina and like McCabe Millen for the next few years.
Yes, I think that I think Joey Spallina, but he's like okay, junior year Joey Spallina Tewaaraton.
Calling it right now. I like it. I'll back you on that. All right. Well, that wraps up everything with the college game. We can now go full force into PLL week 1. It gets going Saturday, 1 p.m. on ABC. So listen, everyone who can make the trip to Albany to spend just an easy $25 to get your ass into the Bar Down Beer Garden, go ahead and do that. Everybody else, if you're not going to be in Albany, you better find yourself, whether you're watching it at home, going to a bar, going to a friend's house, whatever it is, make sure that you have ABC locked and loaded 1 p.m. as we kick off the 2023 PLL season with the Redwoods and the Atlas. All of these odds are going to be brought to us by the Barstool Sportsbook. Make sure that you're all gaming responsibly. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and you want some help, make sure to call 1-800-GAMBLER. But Redwoods and Atlas kicking off the season. We've got Redwoods on the money line plus 175, Atlas minus 230. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call this right now, Dukes. It's June 2nd, 12:52 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I like this to be my championship game preview.
Wow.
Yeah, Redwoods and Atlas. I think that these two teams are going to battle it out all season long for supremacy. Redwoods, I mean, we know their defense. They've perennially had one of the greatest defenses in the league. They keep adding better and better offensive pieces around them. Atlas, we don't need to tell you about how big of a wagoon the Atlas are. You've got Jeff Teat on your roster. That's a recipe for success right there. We watched them in the championship series. We've watched them, the past couple of years. This team is loaded. And I think like even some of the guys that they cut at training camp this year, like you could build a roster around them and they might be a playoff team. So Redwoods and Atlas, both wagons. Heading into this game, I mean, I mentioned it off the bat. I don't really know how to pick any of these games in week 1 until we actually see them in action. But I think that this is definitely going to be best game of the weekend, and it all gets going on ABC.
I tend to agree. I think that I saw going into this year, the Redwoods had the second worst odds to win the championship. I think that's if you're going off odds, that it's them and the Cannons at the bottom too. I think that the Redwoods by the end of the year will be one of the top teams. Do I think the goalie play comes back? Yeah, I think Troutner or Kelly, whoever they go with tomorrow. I saw that Nat said that they'll make the decision tomorrow. I think they can go with both probably. Then trying to figure that out week 2. But yeah, I think that the makeup of this roster I really like. I like how they're putting Arden Cohen down low. So the ND communication will be there. And then you got RK and Johnny Sexton from the polls. So look, I think that what the Redwoods really relied on when they had success was great specialty play at the faceoff X and in Tendy. So I think if the goalies figure it out, this is going to be a very, very dangerous team. And I think the midfield unit is really gonna come on strong this year. I think that the more that I look at them, I think Nakai is due for a breakout year. Charlie Bertrand came on very strong last year. I think he's an absolute stud and behemoth of a man. So yeah. And then you got Anthony DeMeo, who's probably 37 in year 17 right now, right?
Yeah. Well,
he's got to be a vet, right?
Here's the thing. I think Cross Ferrara is quickly going to become the new Anthony DeMeo. Like people talking to me like, hey, like this guy's 30-year-old rookie. Yeah, I mean, I think you got Troutner. Maybe didn't have his best stuff last year. I would like to see a bounce back summer for him. Can never go wrong with a matchup between TD and Baptiste. I think that always provides. Maybe we'll see how long it takes Ryder to kind of get himself going. But, even coming right off the national championship, like you can throw Jules down there at attack for a little while. Like, you can go Jules, Pinnell, Westberg. You can go Ryder, Jules, Pinnell. You can go Westberg, Ryder, like, so there's a lot of different options for them to go with there. Yeah, Chucky Bertrand, just so like talk about a guy who just is pretty much unguardable, and just seems to dodge so pissed off every time he has the ball on a stick. Yeah, Atlas, insane. We'll be very excited to watch Brett McCarr and Gavin Adler, both of them in their first PLL action. 2 top 3 picks on defense. So they'll definitely have their hands full, and it'll be great to see how they handle it. Few rookies making that opening day roster for them. I think, you got Xander Dixon, one of the best off-ball specialists in the game after, spending all those years playing with Connor Schellenberger. Now he gets a chance to work off ball with a guy like Jeff Teat and Chris Gray carrying the rock. So I think that he's going to be due for a big rookie season. So yeah, love both these teams. If I had to go with anything, because on the money line, you're not getting a lot of juice with Atlas -230. So, if you're looking to make a pick here, you're getting a little bit more Redwoods +175. And I do think that if the Redwoods win this game, it's probably going to take the under to do it. If there are, a lot of goals getting scored in this game, I think that does benefit the Atlas a little bit more. So Redwoods in the under, but yeah, it's about as much of a toss up as I could come up with here.
And yeah, I'm going to take the Redwoods, but I think that one of the, because the thing is I think that, it's going to sound shocking in a way, but I think that Atlas, besides like Teat and Gray, it's going to take with Pressler's new offense and who he's added in. I think it might take some time. Like, I don't even know. At first glance, you might miss it, but there's no Kobe Smith on this roster. Not even in the reserves. There's no Cade Van Raphorst on this roster. So you're throwing 2 rookies in down low on defense with 1 week of training. And Kincannon is good enough to steal a game. But I don't know. I do think that the Redwoods' depth, and again, like I always say, every episode of the Atlas play, what do we know about Kincannon? He's one of the best stoppers from 5 yards in. That's why he was so good at the championship series. But what does he struggle with? Outside shots. I think that's one of the Redwoods' strengths with Miles Jones, Perkovic. So I think that I'm going Redwoods in this one, and it's going to be interesting to see Pressler kind of have his guys in, and I think that it might take sometime maybe week 4 they're all gel, and we're looking back and being like, Doogs is done. And I could be wrong overall, and it won't be the first time, it won't be the last, but I'm going with the Redwoods based off that strategy.
All right. The 3:30 game on Saturday, this will be on ESPN Plus, so make sure you've got the streaming devices locked up, loaded to go. We've got Cannons on the money line at +210, taking on the new look Archers at -278. I mean, both of these teams coming into the season with a new look. Obviously, Archers bringing in Mac O'Keefe, reuniting him with Grant Ament anyone who was around for 2019 to watch that Penn State team knows that is pretty much an unstoppable duo to work with. You've still got plenty of other dogs like a Matt Moore and Tom Schreiber to work with that Archers offense. So core with the Archers definitely looking a little bit different offensively, but different. Usually I think that it's going to be a good thing for the Archers moving forward. Cannons, new look just because of the news of Lyle Thompson deciding to take a year off from the PLL, a little year hiatus. So, how do you fill in the hole of, Lyle Thompson taking the year off? Pretty much impossible to do so. He's a top 3 player in the world. So unless you got another number 1 through 3, you can't really fill it in. But Asher Nolting has a full year of experience under his belt. You bring in a guy like Matt Cavanaugh, who we know what Cavanaugh's can provide to a roster. Kind of give Ryan Drenner the keys a little bit on the offense. I think that's going to be a good thing. You bring in a couple guys who have some veteran presence on that team, a guy like Marcus Holman, a guy like Adam Gettleman, a guy like Kyle Hartzell, like guys who have been around. They've been professionals for years and years now, so can help this team kind of find an identity. With all that being said, I'm out on the Cannons this year. I think that this is going to be my team that I say is going to be dog shit this year. Not really a hot take because they finished in last place last year. And I think it'll kind of be similar. They're not dog shit's not the adjective to use. I think that they've got enough there to hang with teams all summer long. But kind of similar to last season where it's just, I don't know if they have enough to just win those games. I think that they can hang in every game. I don't know if they can win them. And Archers are just, always one of the best regular season teams in the league. Can they finally get over the hump and do anything in the postseason? Yet to be determined, but considering week 1 is part of the regular season, I got to go Archers in this one, and I'll go ahead and take the over.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to actually go with the Archers as well. Do I think the Cannons are going to be the worst team in the league? No. That's my take. I actually like the makeup of this roster for the most part, and I think for how shitty they did in the draft with the last regime, I think that they kind of redeemed themselves in the offseason, and they have staples that they can continue to make the pillars of their franchise. I think that they were pretty competitive last year, and I think they got a lot better. I'm expecting a big year at Asher Nolting. I think Marcus Holman is Marcus Holman. He's one of the best shooters in the world. Who gets that third spot at attack? Is it Cavanaugh? Is it Donville? I think that either way you go, I think it's a weapon on the midfield or switching it up out of the box, whoever comes out of the box. Like, I don't know if that's Nolting. I don't know who's going to consistently be the 2 down low. I think that just overall the entire team got better. Goaltending. I mean, I liked Morocco, but I think that going with Gittleman consistently, I think Gittleman's is probably a safer bet.
You think that Gettleman gets the nod over Cole Kirst?
Colin Kirst, yeah.
Or yeah.
Cole's also on a PLL roster, so he's on the Woods. He didn't get the nod this week, but yeah, I do think that Gittleman will get the nod over Colin Kirst. I will say that if Colin Kirst gets the nod, are the lights too bright? Is it like I want to be safe with this take because I don't know how much he's been training. But I do have a take that, like, if you're like a second-year player that's not coming straight out of the college, like, I do like I don't mind rookies coming straight from college in because you've been seeing shots. But you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I want to say that he was playing indoor with Vegas this year. I don't think
His
that he
brother was.
Yeah, but hold up. Vegas. All right, hold up. Good radio. And yeah, I do really want to go back. I said I definitely don't think that the Cannons are going to be dog shit. I think that they're going to be same thing as last year. No, yeah, he was playing with the Desert. Yeah. Now let's see what the stats are. I can't imagine that he was getting in a ton of games. Pretty hard to be an American goalie to play in the NLL. But yeah, both Kirst, and then Landon Kells, I want to say it was their Landon Kells, Joel Watson. So yeah, probably their third goalie, but he was at least at practice every week, getting shots. Little different with indoor than outdoor, but at the very least, he was seeing shots. And chances are that I'd imagine after some practices, you'd probably bring out the 6x6 and get some field shots as well. So I think we can expect to see Colin Kurse probably take over in between the pipes at some point this season. For Gettleman, get a little youth movement in there. Yeah, I think the Cannons, they're still going to be competitive. I just don't know if I agree with you that they got better. I think that they have come close to not getting any worse, which is really hard to do when you lose Lyle Thompson. Most times you lose Lyle Thompson, you're automatically getting worse. And I think that they've done enough piecing this roster together. I think that they have enough young talent and enough leadership to where it's almost coming out net even.
Yeah, I think I will actually say I strongly disagree, which is good. Healthy debate. But I think in some way the Lyle coming back next year, I think is this going to be like addition by subtraction in a way that like how good would they be if they had him? Obviously a ton better when you're adding the best player in the world. But I think they upgraded every single possible position. I think their defense got better. Face-offs the same. I think their polls got better. I think their midfield unit got better. Their attack got better. And I think their coaching got better. And I think you still have players in the reserve that you can use. Like Rafus on the reserve. And like, I don't know, like you want to trade him for pieces? I mean, I like what the Cannons are doing. And I think that there's always the teams that you think will stink in the beginning of the year don't always end up stinking towards the end. So Cannons will be my team that I'm saying makes the playoffs, doesn't miss the playoffs. I don't know how good that I'm going to say that they are going to be, but I'm just saying they won't be the 8th team out.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, listen, that could be this team's going to be terrible. And all of a sudden they're in second place in the standings. So let's.
Right. And this is flip-flop from last year because you said they were going to be really, right? Not really good, but I said they were going to be dog shit. And you liked the Cannons, right?
Yeah, because I think Cannons and Chrome were, and I don't know if I said that they were going to be. I just said that they weren't going to be the worst. I said that the Chrome were going to be the worst, and you said Chrome weren't going to be the worst, that the Cannons were going to be. So yeah, little flip flop from last year. All right, well, so yeah, I'm going to go Archers in that one and the over. Sounds like you're also going with Archers in that one as well, and that brings us into Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern time. On ABC, we've got the Chouse taking on your reigning PLL champions of the world, the Water Dogs. Chaos, obviously. I mean, both of these teams, I think, clearly the two teams that get fucked by the NLL Finals the hardest. So two teams that are going to look drastically different on Sunday than they will when we see them later on in the season, especially by the time the playoffs roll around. But Chaos missing like pretty much half their entire roster as they're all playing with the Bandits. Water Dogs missing Dylan Ward and net. A lot of new blood on this roster for the Chaos, and obviously that's, just kind of piecing some things around with all those guys being missing. But I mean, just looking at the rookies here, you've got Brian Minikis, you've got Will Bowen, we've got Nick Rowlett, we've got Evan Zinn making an appearance on the game day roster after his season with Virginia just wrapped up last weekend. Want to say that is all for the but that's a lot of rookies heading into their first weekend of PLL action. Let's see, anyone else there? But listen, they might not have nearly as much firepower offensively as they typically would when you've got a Josh Byrne and you've got why am I blanking on the name right now? This is terrible. Dane Smith. Every once in a while mix in a Tehoga Nanako. So they're missing that firepower. But when you have Blaze in between the pipes, that almost cancels everything out. So, we saw it last year and we'll probably see it again this year, where if you count out this Chaos team just because they're missing all the Bandit boys, guess what? They still have one of the best goalies in the world, if not the best goalie in the world, in between the pipes for them. And the only other guy who might be the best goalie in the world won't be in this game because he's trying to win another NLL championship with the Colorado Mammoth.
I thought you were going to say he's in Germany.
Those are the three. I think we talked about that last week.
I love Dylan. I do think Dylan's still above him. But yeah, I agree. And I don't know. I think you kind of nailed it. I think the Chaos will keep this competitive. Jake Withers not on the roster. Huge missing piece for the Water Dogs. How does Tucci step up in his absence will be huge to the success of the Water Dogs going down the line. You know that you're going to get back one of the best goalies in the world. You're not going to get back one of the best faceoff guys in the world. So they really got to step up at the faceoff X. Besides that, I expect an MVP year from Sowers. Again, I think that when it comes down to who's going to be the worst team in the league, it's going to come down to health. So if you see a team like the Chaos or the Water Dogs at the bottom of the standing, it's going to be because they weren't healthy. Water Dogs got healthy at the right time last year. They got all their guys back, so especially Sowers, who stepped up huge during the playoffs and the end of the regular season. I don't know what to think of this that much. We have an exclusive bet that will be coming out on the Barstool Sportsbook called Championship Hangover, where it will be Chaos and the over, meaning that, do the Water Dogs need a little bit of a wake-up call? Maybe. Ownership seems to think so. So back PMT if you like that bet. But I'm going to say the Water Dogs win this one.
Wait, so the PMT exclusive bet is going to be against the Water Dogs?
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, championship hangover, tough ownership. But I think that I'm going to roll with the Dogs.
Again, it's week one. It's so hard to make a choice on these ones.
This one's tough because Blaze can steal a game, and I don't necessarily think that someone in the Water Dogs could steal a game, but I think they can make it competitive. So this is a tough read. I will go with the defending champs. I'm going to go with.
Well, hold on. As you're thinking it over, just for the boys and girls back home, because I didn't mention this as I brought up the game. Yeah. First ever. So on the Barstool Sportsbook app, we can get Water Dogs on the money line at -245 and Chaos getting the juice on the money line at +185. Over under on this game at 23.5. Like you said, I think like Chaos, they're missing guys, obviously offensive firepower, but Blaze cancels that out. And then Water Dogs, you're missing a top 3 goalie on the planet. But you have enough guys offensively, especially, pretty much an entire roster from last season to make up for it. So guys like, and you add Jake Carraway to the mix. So you bring in Jake Carraway. I saw the Water Dogs, the social tweeting out, like, are people still sleeping on Kieran McArdle? I don't has anyone slept on Kieran McArdle, or is it just like people? Yeah.
Because I think he finished don't quote me on this. I want to say he finished the
2
league
or 3 points
in points, and he wasn't an all-star. So, we watch week in, week out. Me and you are not sleeping on Kieran McArdle. Is the PLL social team potentially, and is the fans 100%? In the sense, as a PLL social team, because he's not on camera all the time. I couldn't imagine him being like that type of guy that is putting up the point production, and the little kids that are the fans want to vote for him and think they'd rather vote for someone that they like in the vlog. And I'm not against the kids, but fuck the kids. No, I'm kidding. But
I'll go ahead and say it. Fuck the kids. The kids don't know a goddamn thing.
I fucking hate how the kids vote on this shit.
The kids don't know shit. Fucking losers.
I'm so much smarter than that fucking 7-year-old.
They don't fucking watch the game. They just fucking dance on TikTok, and then they goddamn idiots.
Can I tell a story about these kids? These kids last year in Fairfield, I think I told the story before, but I was tipsy, and I was like, oh, what position do you guys play in lacrosse? These kids were fucking weirdo pedophile. My mom told me not to talk to any strangers, and I'm like, all right, whatever. RJ comes over to me, and he's like, Doogs, what's up? Daps me up with the camera. These kids are like, oh my God, you know RJ? And I was like, yeah, I do. And you know what? I'm not going to help any of you little shits out. You want to get on the vlog? I was like, nope, not today. But yeah, that's my RJ kid story.
Then just throw a beer-soaked Gatorade towel at them.
Yeah.
Here you go, kid. Yeah, in this game, I still, I totally agree with you where this one's almost, they're all impossible to pick in week one, but this one with all the missing pieces, have no idea. The one thing I will say that I do feel pretty confident in, I do like the under in this game. I think that Blaze steps it up. First of all, it's week one, so who knows like how well the Water Dogs are that offense is gonna be gelling. Maybe they do have that championship hangover, so it kind of takes them a while to get themselves going. By the time that they get themselves going, Blaze is already going to be locked in. Chaos, they just don't have nearly as many guys as they could, so I don't see them filling the back of the net, even though not crazy about the Water Dogs between the pipe this week. So I like the under in this one. I think it's, so total set at 23.5, maybe like a 12-10, 12-9 final, something pretty tight, but not a ton of scoring. So give me the under in the 1 p.m. game on Sunday.
I think I'm going to go, if value bet, what I'd actually place is, if you're going to bet on it, I'd probably take the Chaos. I do think the Water Dogs win though. That's my final decision. And
I think Jack Hanna, he had a really good season last year, but I think like really breakout player of the year.
Like we start talking about him in like the top 15.
Yeah.
Like PL players. I think that I would bet, if you could bet on this, if you find this line anywhere, I'd bet on Will Perry having a good time. I saw him. He's just the nicest dude in the world. And I hope he scores 1 million goals. If Will Perry scores a hat trick and the Water Dogs lose, I'll gladly be wrong.
So
the Chaos are just good dudes. I mean, they were kind of chirping me. They're like, "Oh, you need some Chaos merch. You keep wearing Water Dogs merch," and that maybe is playing a factor into like who I want to win. And
if there's one coach out there where you could give him a brand new roster every single week, and he'd get those boys fired up or those men fired up to go play for 60 minutes, like it is, or however long a PLL game is, it's AT. I've given AT plenty of shit every once in a while about like being a little too much of a meathead at times. But I think especially in a week like week one, where you're missing so many of your key points on the roster, like I think AT is just going to have all those guys ready to go to war. So I like Chaos coming out with a lot of juice in that one, keeping it tight, keeping it competitive. I just don't know how many goals are going to end up being scored. I feel like I had like one last thing to say about that matchup, but I forget. Oh, that's if Will Perry scores 3 goals in this game, would he have scored more against Matt DeLuca than he scored against you in the goalie challenge?
It's a great question. No, probably not. I forget what the score of that goalie challenge was. But I mean, now there's a year out. Will was so nice about it. He just gave me softballs, and I was just talking shit. And as soon as he started seeing what was happening, he started letting it rip, and he missed the cage. And I was like, "Fuck yeah!" He also knew. He knew. I mean, the secret's out there. I'm not going to give my secret, but it's low and away.
Oh. Not after the soft 35, maybe after the broken ankle, but after the soft 35, you could get to low and away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can get that. Right. I can get down.
And let's talk about the last game wrapping up week one at Tom and Marie Casey Stadium in Albany, New York. We've got the Whip Snakes taking on Chrome, 3:30 p.m. on ESPN Plus. You can get Whip Snakes -134 on the money line, Chrome at +105. This game, Vegas is thinking, is going to be the tightest of them all. Total set at 22.5. Whip Snakes obviously going into this game without Zed Williams. Zedzilla trying to win another NLL championship with the Mammoth, but you got a guy like Will Manny slotting into that attack. So new look there for the Whip Snakes attack. You've got Petey LaSala at the face-off stripe. Couple other new guys. I mean, Garrett Ledman coming off hopefully he stays out of the crease this weekend, but coming off of a big Memorial Day weekend with Duke. You've got a Cursed in the lineup. You've got Tucker Dordovic in the lineup. So Whip Snakes, they might be without Zedzilla, but they've got plenty of new pieces to make up for it. Chrome coming off of a big 2022 championship series world championship, the greatest sixes team that ever lived. Are they going to have a little bit of a championship hangover? Hard to say, but a lot of meat on this lineup. And I'll tell you what, I'm done counting out the Chrome. Did it last year. Might have even done it a little bit in the championship series. Never again. That's my Jordy guarantee. I will never count out the Chrome again. This team is fun. They're beefy. They're just a bunch of big boys getting after it over the weekend. So yeah, I love this game. I love this matchup. You don't get rich betting against the Whips, though. You do it. I think you do if you're betting against the spread, but considering we don't have spreads available on the Barstool Sportsbook app this week, you can't really do that anyway. I think that they were bunch of dangerous men on the money line last year. I feel for some reason that they weren't that great ATS.
They weren't. A lot of 1-goal wins. I'm going to go with the Chrome in this one. I think the Whipsnakes will end up the season as the number 1 seed, but I think that they drop this one against the Chrome. I just like the Chrome make. No, you know what? No, Whipsnakes. Whipsnakes win this one. Whipsnakes win this one because Dylan Malloy's out. I don't like that. Bad juju for me. I don't know why he's not in the lineup, but I'm going with the Whips in this one. The fact that the Chrome have have such a depth at midfield makes me think that they're tired and that they worked hard this week. So I'm going to go with the Whips. I think that I don't know who they're going to plug in at that third attack. Is it going to be Keegan or is it going to be Brad? I think I'd probably lean towards Brad. And I think that Brad Smith's one of the best players in the league. And I think everyone kind of started to learn about it last year. I think everyone will know it this year. He's an absolute stud.
At the very least, greatest mustache in lacrosse.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I think I think Petey gonna have. We talk about it a lot, and Doogs, you and I have talked about the jump from the college face-off to the pro face-off. Probably the hardest adjustment to make for a lot of some of these for most of these guys as far as any position goes. I do think that Petey's able to step in and have some success right away, going up against going up against Connor Farrell, who definitely one of the better face-off guys in the league, but I think Petey's been going up against just elite face-off talent for 4 years now. So I think that that's a good spot for him to be in. Yeah, again, you don't get rich betting against the Whipsnakes, so I am going to go with the Whips in this one. But the biggest thing I want to see here, would love to see a big Cross Ferrara game. Just D3 by choice. I think he had like 7 million points in his college career. So
yeah. Wait, let me call Frank the Tank. Yeah, Frank the Tank did confirm that was the record.
Yeah, so it might have been just like a hair shy, like 6,900,000. But would love to see Cross Ferrara getting involved early and often in this one for all the D3 brethren out there. So going with Whips, probably not touching the total at all because I have no idea how this one's going to play out. But going with the Whips and would love to see a lot of D3 goals. That's my take right there.
Yeah, I think that a bunch of the boys are going to have fun, and then I think that I'm just excited for the entire season. Any championship or MVP predictions?
Off the top of my head right now, I mean, it's chalky for sure, but I think they're due for it. Give me Jeff Teat in the Atlas.
Okay.
I know that some people are. You got a new coaching staff, Mike. You fucking Doogs just counting out Mike Pressler and everything that he's done at Duke and Bryant.
Wow! That's
everything he's doing. Everything he's doing down now at where's he at? Like Westlake
beating Garden City at Highland Park. He just beat fucking Garden City. That's why I hate this motherfucker. No, I think that Pressler. I think it's just going to take time. I think by the end of the year they'll be totally fine. I think in the first couple of weeks when I'm looking at it from a betting perspective. He's got to establish who he wants the identity of his team to be and what his defense wants to be. And I think that those rookies will maybe struggle. I don't know if they're going to struggle or not. I haven't seen them really in action, but it makes sense in my head. That's all I'm saying. You have to tell yourself a story. And I like the story that I made up. I like for the championship. I think this might be the Archers' year. I think it might be the Archers' year. And that kills me to say, but I think this is the year they maybe finally get it done.
Well, all right. So Barstool or Crease Dive exclusive bet. Will there be champagne popped in the Archers locker room after a week 1 win in Albany?
No, new regime. I also just think that Eamon and Mac O'Keefe are going to do some dirty things to those goals. Dirty things. And I think that defense is pretty much the same.
Actually, big question. And this will probably be my last question for you, and then we can wrap things up here. But as a guy who has boots on the ground during training camp so far,
legitimately a walking boot.
Do we have Gilman goals on site for these the goals that have the extra loud rattle?
I don't know, because I saw there's different goals for games and what they've been using at practice. If that helps.
Have we heard any of the sweet pings?
Yes.
Okay.
There's at least one goal on one field that had it.
All right. So yeah, I think you give us Ament and O'Keefe with those nets all season long. Yeah, definitely guys who can do some damage and just make sure we have the volume all the way up on all the broadcasts. All right. So yeah. Big one coming up, big couple days coming up over in Albany. Make sure you guys listen. If you're going to be at the games, hit up Doogs on Twitter at Doogs there. Find them at the Bar Down Beer Garden. Buy him a couple drinks, right? The guy's scooting around here. He's losing a lot of hydration. Keep the man lubricated so that he can scoot all around Albany's campus. Make sure that you're following us on Twitter and Instagram. We're at the Crease Dive on both. Make sure that we are subscribed on YouTube. Let's jack up those numbers throughout the entire summer of PLL action. Follow, like, comment, do all that shit. And in the meantime, we'll be keeping it low to high until the day we die. We out.